Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to watch a movie which will make even the elders urinate. So watch this movie at your own risk. So fasten your seatbelt because things are about to get worse. And if you love the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. On the eve of Christmas, a couple, Jennifer and Eddie, are sleeping soundly at night, when suddenly at midnight their daughter Juliet comes in the bedroom and wakes up her mother and says that I am hearing the sound of someone walking on the roof. Then Jennifer tells her that maybe some animal has come. Saying this, she takes Juliet to her room to sleep. Then Juliet tells her mother that maybe there will be Santa on the roof, so you keep milk and biscuits on the table for Santa, to which Jennifer says yes. And after keeping milk and biscuits for Santa, she starts going to her bedroom, during which she notices that the main door of the house is open. She thinks that maybe Eddie must have left the door open. Now she closes the door and comes in the bedroom and tells Eddie that Juliet has kept milk and biscuits for Santa. So in the morning become Santa and eat them so that Juliet's heart does not break. After this, Jennifer and Eddie go to sleep, but Juliet was still awake. Then she hears someone inside the house. She so descends to find Santa where she sees him. She swiftly runs to her brother Sam's room after seeing Santa, awakens him, and tells him Santa has come to our house. Let's go meet him, but Sam declines, so Juliet comes down alone to visit Santa. Juliet hides behind a door and starts observing Santa when she observes his unusual behavior, which terrifies her greatly. Then Santa pulls an axe from his luggage. Santa is not Juliet's father. Rather, he is the crazy murderer Joker, whom everyone knows as Art the Clown. Santa has blood on his hands. Actually, it is rather tough to kill this Joker, as he is a demon from hell rather than a human guy. Now, Art the Clown visits Sam's chamber, assaults him with an axe, chops his body into several parts, and murders him mercilessly. Hearing the noises emanating from her brother's apartment, Juliet rapidly descends to kill him, as she was really afraid. After this, Art the Clown rushes to Jennifer's room, where he strikes Eddie's face with an axe and kills him horribly. Then Jennifer wakes up and feels horrified, finding Eddie's blood on her hand. When she gets to know that Eddie has been slain, her condition worsens, and she starts screaming, which makes Art extremely delighted, and he starts cutting Eddie's body into pieces. Discovering this, Jennifer flees there and finds her children's room, where she begins to scream upon discovering Sam's lifeless body. Now Jennifer starts fleeing away from the home. Then Art throws an axe at her and injures her and kills her, following which Art starts eating milk and biscuits kept in the kitchen. He cleans the dish after cookies. During this moment, he hears from the cabinet. He finds Juliet in the cabinet, knowing which Art kills her. Now we are shown a scenario from 5 years ago. During this time, Art had committed several murders, and in connection with one of these killings, a police officer murder scene. When he went there, he noticed Art's headless body. Before he could think anything, Art's body rose up and grasped the cop. The cop shot at him with a gun, but Art was not injured by the bullets. He murdered the police officer in no time. After this, we see Art in a train where a lady was seated alone. Here we notice that Art has taken up the head of that police officer and is terrifying the lady seated in front of him by replacing his head. On the other hand, we see a mental institution where the guard hears the sound of a nurse screaming from a room. When he goes there to check, he feels horrified after witnessing a patient called Victoria. Actually, Victoria was pregnant, and she had given birth to a head instead of a kid. And this head was not looking like a regular human being's head, but like Art's head. Well, here Victoria was murdering the nurse and devouring her. Actually, Art had once bitten Victoria. Since then, Victoria got insane, and she was influenced by Art. Along with it, Victoria's visage also transformed like a devil. Soon, Victoria starts devouring her own bodily parts. Here we observe on the wall where Victoria had created a heart with blood, in which she had written Art's name together with her name. That means now Art is not a demon alone, but his accomplice has also arrived on Earth. Well, after some time, Art comes there. When the guard sees the headless body strolling, he feels terrified. Before the guard could do anything, Victoria assaulted him and then, together with Art, murdered him. After this, Art places the head produced by Victoria on his body and takes Victoria to an empty house. Here, Victoria sees her face in the mirror. She breaks it in fury. After this, she gets a piece of mirror and goes to the bathtub and slices the vein of her hand. Art sits on a chair in front of her. Both of them have resided in this residence for 5 years. Now we are presented with the present time. Here we see a woman named Sienna. Let's view the girl who was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for 5 years. Actually, 5 years ago, Art killed all of Sienna's pals in front of her. Then Sienna beheaded Art with a magical sword. This sword arrived from heaven through an angel. Well, Sienna was greatly traumatized by this whole situation, due to which she used to see the remains of her pals everywhere. So she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. But today, after 5 years, Sienna's health has improved. So Sienna's Uncle Greg comes to fetch her up from the hospital. After this, he brings Sienna to his house, where he lives with his wife, Jess, and daughter, Gabby. Gabby is really thrilled to see her cousin sister, Sienna. On the other hand, we see Art's house, where 2 workers who evaluate ancient properties come so that they can demolish that building after surveying it. Now the workmen arrive at the spot where Art and Victoria were seated. Both of them were still seated in the same position. The shocking thing was that their body was still the same as before. The workers assume that both of them are dead bodies. But shortly, Art and Victoria come alive and capture the workers and kill them. On the other hand, we see Gabby, who picks out Sienna's journal from her possessions and starts reading it. Then Sienna grabs the journal from her and warns her not to read her diary. After this, Gabby and Sienna sit with the family and eat meals. During this, Sienna starts seeing her dead buddy on the chair in front of her, whose whole body is bleeding. Actually, Sienna was still not able to come out of her astonishment entirely. Well, now we visit Sienna's brother Jonathan's hostel, where Jonathan's buddy Maya informs her partner that I am going to present a criminal podcast program in which I will interview such individuals who have been subjected to some crime or have observed a crime in front of them. Well, then Mia's eyes wander to Jonathan, so she swiftly rushes to him and asks him about Sienna because she knew that Sienna had killed Art. The head was taken off, and if she interviews Sienna, she will receive a lot of views. Here we get to know that Mia is a great admirer of Art since she appreciates the murder cases done by Art. Mia tells Jonathan that she wants to meet Sienna and learn about Art from her. Meanwhile, Jonathan gets a call from Sienna in which she invites Jonathan to come home and see her. On the other hand, we meet Art, who is seeking a technique to torture people for which he experiments on a rat. In this experiment, he freezes a rat with gas and then smashes it by slamming it on the table. After this, Art heads to a bar, where he sees a man dressed as Santa. Here, Art jokes with everyone, but after some time, people start getting annoyed with him. That's why people move forward to beat Art. But then Art takes out a gun from his bag and kills everyone. But he does not kill the man dressed as Santa because he wanted to torture him. That's why now he ties Santa to a chair and freezes his body with ice and then breaks him and kills him badly. After which he wears his clothes and takes the form of Santa, and then goes to kill Eddie's family, which we saw in the beginning of the story. Well, here Sienna gets a letter from Jonathan in which he had written that sometimes demons come to earth from hell through dead bad people. But angels kill such demons, and you are one of those angels. Well, now we see Sienna and Gabby in a mall where Sienna hears the sounds of people screaming, which makes her doubt whether Art has returned or not. Then Art, wearing Santa's clothes, comes there. There was blood on the clothes. Seeing this, Sienna understands that he is not Santa, but Art. Besides this, Art waves his hand at Sienna and says hello to her. Seeing this, Sienna gets very scared. Then Gabby comes there. So Sienna's attention is diverted from Art, and when Sienna turns back, Art has disappeared. After this, Sienna sees Jonathan and informs him about the mall event, on which Jonathan tells her that you had murdered him, and this is your illusion, so you should not think much about Art. Then Sienna shows the same letter to Jonathan in which Jonathan told about the demon. Sienna tells him that Art came here from hell with the help of a little girl, but this time he has come out of hell with the help of a patient named Victoria, because Victoria used to behave like him, and now she is missing from the hospital, on which Jonathan, getting scared, tells Sienna that we should leave this place and run away. He also tells Uncle Greg everything, but Sienna refuses to tell them because no one is going to believe Sienna. Well, now Sienna wants Jonathan to fetch the same magical sword with which he had beheaded Art. Meanwhile, Art starts distributing gifts to the youngsters present in the mall, thanks to which all his gifts get done. Then the mother of those youngsters discovers the weird behavior of Santa and also sees blood on his garments. Now, gradually, everyone discovers that there is someone else in the appearance of Santa, so the guard arrives there and drives Art away. Now, as soon as the children open their gifts, there is a massive bomb, thanks to which all the people present in the mall are slain. Actually, Art had put a bomb in those gifts. On the other side, Sienna finds the magical sword, which she brings home and conceals in a box, during which Gabby sees it. After this, Gabby talks to Sienna about the things written in her journal, on which Sienna says, "Why did you read my diary even after I refused?" On this, Gabby apologizes to her, and then she starts inquiring about Art the Clown, to which Sienna lies to her that she did not murder Art. Actually, Sienna did not want to shock her sister Gabby by giving her the truth. Well, now Sienna tells her not to tell anyone about whatever she has read in her diary. Here we meet Mia, who was telling her buddy that she wanted to feel how the person who dies when Art murders someone feels. Then we see Art, who had arrived at the hostel and was listening to all the words of Mian. Sienna watches the news of the bomb in the mall on TV, from which Sienna realizes that this is the work of Art. Now Sienna starts becoming concerned about Jonathan, so she phones him and urges him to come home as soon as possible, after which Uncle Greg rushes to his hostel to pick up Jonathan. At the same time, Mian is romancing with her boyfriend in the washroom. Here, Art assaults them with a chainsaw, after which he grins at Mian and says that maybe you have felt my dread now. Saying this, he murders Mia, after which he slices Mian's boyfriend's corpse into 2 parts and kills him too. Here, Sienna hears the voices of her uncle and aunt talking at night, so she goes out to check, where she sees that Victoria has entered the house, and she is the one imitating the voices of uncle and aunt. And along with that, she sees that Art has killed her Uncle Greg and hung him on the wall before Sienna could understand anything. Then Art starts assaulting her. Seeing this, Sienna attempts to escape from him and get the blade somehow, but Art hits her with a hammer and knocks her unconscious. When Sienna regains consciousness, she is bound to a chair, and Art has chained her aunt Jess to a chair in front of her. After this, Victoria removes the tape from Jess's mouth. Jess, weeping, asks them about her daughter Gabby. Then Art pulls the paper from a cage put on the table in front of them. Actually, there was a severed head in this cage that was terribly chewed by rats. Thus, it was quite difficult to identify that head. Here, Jess starts weeping and repeatedly repeats that this cannot be my daughter's head. Well, now Victoria and Art place a pipe in Jess's mouth and then put a rat in the mouth through that pipe, thanks to which the rat comes out, cutting Jess's neck, and Jess dies. After this, Victoria goes to Sienna and offers her a knife with iron thorns. While crowning him, she reminds him that this head was not Gabby's. After saying this, he invites Gabby forward to confront Sienna. Then Art places Jonathan's spectacles on the head kept on the table. Sienna recognizes that this head is her brother's. Knowing this, Sienna starts sobbing and yelling and screams out to God. Victoria strangles him and declares that there is no God here. Now Victoria starts dominating Sienna with her power, but Sienna's trust in God was not shaken. Thus, she is not under his influence. Well, now both of them thought of murdering Gabby. During this, Gabby asks him for one final desire and says that if you are our God, then before killing me, let me open one of my presents. Art agrees to this. After which, Gabby points towards a box and asks Victoria to pick it up and asks Sienna to open the package. Actually, a mystical sword was stored in this box, so Gabby intended to take the blade to Sienna with this notion. But Victoria was incredibly bright. She opened the package. Before delivering it to her, she slices Sienna's fingers, but Sienna miraculously opens the box, and we find that Sienna's fingers have gotten fine after touching the blade. After this, Sienna picks up the sword and attacks Art directly on his neck, and then she cuts off Victoria's head by attacking her on the chest, which kills Victoria. Then Art attacks Sienna with a chainsaw, but Sienna avoids his attack and faces him, and then hangs him from the wall by inserting the sword in his stomach. Meanwhile, Victoria's blood turns into acid, thanks to which the path to hell opens and Gabby starts sliding into it. So Sienna runs to help her and begs her to hold the sword and come up. But before she could pull Gabby up, Gabby falls into hell with the sword. After losing her whole family, Sienna was absolutely distraught. Meanwhile, Sienna discovers that Art has departed from there. Well, here Sienna determines that she will journey to hell and get her sister and that sword out. Now we will see something. Later we witness the scenario where a lady sitting in a bus is reading a book about demons, and then from the next bus stop we see Art entering the bus. Here Art starts terrifying the lady, which signifies that Art is going to kill her, and he will continue to torment and kill people in the same way. That is why Sienna will have to fetch that sword from hell as soon as possible and kill Art forever. With this suspense, the narrative finishes here. If you like the video, please like it or unsubscribe to your own Film Unfolded channel.